Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kelly Clarkson, and one thing you may not know about me is my favorite place on this planet is our farm. And we have chickens and honeybees and an orchard because we're all about self-sustaining and helping the environment. Yes, we're doing our part. It's still pop. There's obviously things that are sprinkled. There's songs on my other records that are definitely a little more soulful, but this project was, in all honesty, just my first project to get to pick who I worked with. I almost cry every time because it sounds really silly, but for someone at 19 years old, I wish this would have been my first experience in the industry because it was real rough. I'm not unique. I don't have some story that everybody else doesn't have. Every artist I know goes through the same thing. And because of Idol, I'm blessed. I've had the most amazing career. I love my songs. I still love singing Since You've Been Gone and Miss Independent, all my songs. But there is a difference when you get to be in a studio and you work with people that are actually respecting anything you say, which is how business should operate. Obviously, Aretha is one of my favorites. I sang her all on Idol, everybody knows that. And Whitney and Mariah and Annie Lennox, Bonnie Raitt. I mean, even people like Prince, even if they're not, well, he's androgynous, right? He was androgynous, so. But Bowie, like all those people that are, U2, just anybody that really sang with their whole heart. I am the most annoying person to be around when I'm making a record because I don't listen to anything else but what I'm working on. My husband's super supportive though, and my kids, they always are like, play this one. So, at least they weren't like,
Do you sing in the shower?
I always sing in the shower. Well, I'm either singing a song or I'm warming up, anything Aretha or some Whitney. I sing that kind of stuff in the shower because everyone sounds so good in the shower. Like the acoustics, you're like, yes, reverb. XQ Super Schools is basically just trying to innovate and be more progressive with how we teach our children, get them excited about it. It's just broadening the scope of what school should mean, to not only teach all the basic science, but also to take that in real life, and these kids are a part of that and they get to see things grow and they do things outside the box. A lot of times in school, you don't get the life skills. They just want you to know what you're supposed to know to pass the whatever test it is that year. Just the whole initiative that XQ Super School is trying to evoke out of everyone, that's trying to inspire them, not only take the time to read a book and show them why it's important, but also into extracurricular activities, which I think are vital. All these things really are a big deal, and I think we just kind of think there's this, system in place, but we've forgotten that it's a bit archaic. It's really cool that they're trying to inspire people to be more progressive and innovative. There's all these things that carry over into your life that might not necessarily pinpoint what you're gonna do specifically, but it'll help you be a well-rounded human and be able to elevate culture, which is what we should be doing. I think it was called Beatrice at Dinner. It had Selma Hayek. I was watching it and I was like, where is this going? And I had no idea what it was about. And then I found myself just completely disgusted with all of us because I think the movie did point out how our perspective or our priorities are just way not what they should be. If you've seen the movie, you wanted the things she thought in her head. I'm sorry, but I wanted that to happen. I was like, he needs to go. I found out my name was in Naylor Clinton's book via Twitter. I didn't know that her book was called What Happened to Her. I didn't know. Anyway, so I kept seeing these pictures. I was like, why are people sending me a book called What Happened? What does that mean? And then all of a sudden I realized it was her book and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm right next to Nisha. It's really cool. We're both philosophers. The what doesn't kill you makes you stronger made it in there. And I think, honestly, that's probably very relatable to her because she's probably still like, what? I would be if I were her. I'd be drinking. I'm so excited that Wonder Woman came out because it's very hard sometimes when you're a mom of little girls and all you have are these damsels, these princesses that are great. And I love Belle, I love all of them, but I'll tell you what, when Wonder Woman came out, well, first of all, I was like, honey, nobody looks like that. That's not normal. And secondly, it was just really cool to have my daughter ask me questions like, well, what's she doing? And I'm like, well, she's helping people that need help and, don't get it. Like, you know, and so it's awesome little lessons to teach your kid. And especially because I feel like all the superheroes are boys. I don't feel that way, they just are. You know, I like Spider-Man and Batman too, but it's nice to have a chick in there for your girls, so. I feel like a tool talking to people about, you know, raising kids and working, because like my mom was a working mom and, you know, had 3 kids at one point all under the same roof and put herself through school and had a job. And I have no idea how she did it. Doing this job, especially because my husband not only manages me, but manages Blake Shelton, like he's constantly busy, I'm constantly busy. It does help you to prioritize when you have kids. I would not be able to do what my mother did. I hold her in such a higher place. She's like angelic for being able to do it. And I have a village of people. I want my kid to enjoy their life and not just be in all these places trapped in a hotel, you know? So I don't want to be that tool in the interview that sits here and says, oh, you can totally, it's so easy. It's incredibly difficult, and I would not be able to do it without the help we have. That's just the truth. I hope on The Voice that I'm like a little like Simon Cowell, because see, everybody didn't like Simon Cowell. I love his honesty, and I love how he prepares people for that, because this is not a nice industry. I'm sorry, it's not. You can focus on the few that are nice, but as a whole, people suck sometimes.
They liked it. They all were like, I mean, I was so happy because the British man didn't make me cry.
It's a nice thing to be a mentor to these kids that are gonna be on The Voice and be able to tell them like, look, you need to do what you do and makes you happy, but at the end of the day, they need to have some kind of constructive criticism because it's gonna happen. If you're gonna have a mentor in some industry, you need an honest one. That's my goal personally. It's because I've been in the same shoes as these kids on The Voice and help them be themselves and create something that might have longevity, which is every artist's dream. At the end of the day, I do want to be honest.